My name is Fiel Sahir. I am from New York City, was born in Portland, Oregon, to a father from Jakarta and a mother from Bandung in Indonesia. And I'm a podcaster and a lover of people, lover of the world, and just all the things that there are to see. I was raised in a multicultural family. My dad spoke Manado Malay and Sundanese and Indonesian, obviously, as well. And also because my ancestors came from China early in the 1900s, so there was a lot of culture growing up in my family. And that kind of showed me that there's a really big world out there. Plus, my dad went to a pretty diverse university, college, and he had friends from Kenya, from Iran, from Mexico, and so I was surrounded by people that were different. And it showed me that, man, the world is so big, and there's so much to discover, so many ways to count things, so many ways to call different foods. And then I had, skipping about maybe 5-10 years later, I was in middle school, and I had a horrible teacher who was my Spanish teacher. And it's funny because if she wasn't horrible, my life would not have been changed, because she taught Spanish so badly. I said, I don't want to do Spanish in high school. So I took French because they wouldn't give me the other options because I wasn't in the special languages program. I was just a normal student in the law program. And so, and then after that, I always knew I wanted to travel, but because I'm an immigrant, or my family is an immigrant family, we knew that we didn't have money, but my mom was an early adopter in the power of Google. And so she told me to just go online and start searching for whatever you can find that would send you to a different country for free on a scholarship. And I found this organization called Putney Student Travel, and they sent me to, well, before that, they called me and they said, oh, we have good news and we have bad news. So bad news is we can't send you to France, which you wanted to go for language immersion, but what we can do is we can send you to Senegal. To Senegal, West Africa. I was afraid. And my mom was like, no, you're stupid, go. And my French teacher in high school was from Côte d'Ivoire, so she was from the Ivory Coast, and she said, you're going, you have to go. This is a free opportunity. So I went, and that changed my life. And that's when I realized how big the world was, and that was the first foreign language that I learned, other than Indonesian, which is semi-foreign, and ever since then, the path has gone on. I guess the better question is, what place do people have in my life? Because people are everywhere, and languages are a means to the end, which is to connect with people no matter which color, shape, or form they come from. And so I use my languages to help me connect and to understand people. Empathy is my big thing. Whether it be tourists on the street, which being a New Yorker, I obviously am not supposed to like tourists, but I do for the purposes of humanity. So there's that, and helps me connect with my roots, helps me see the world in a much bigger lens rather than just my American one or my Asian one or whatever other lenses and masks and things that I wear on a daily basis. And I mean, I'm currently not really learning any languages. Oops, I touched the microphone, but I'm not really learning any languages right now because I realized that no matter what it is I do, whether it be music or languages or just any skill, sports and fitness, which I do not do, I need to have people around me. I'm not very good at motivating myself to work out to look good, but I would be good if somebody said, hey, let's go play soccer on Saturdays, or if I had 5 friends that spoke Brazilian Portuguese. I failed learning a total of 4 languages in my life, and the reason I failed is because I didn't have people. I didn't have that extra spark because I don't do well with grammar books. And so language learning is just there. It's just one of the many things that I happen to do. I don't consider myself fully a language learner and fully a polyglot. I happen to be someone that does speak multiple languages, meaning that I am a polyglot. But I'm not, I got many things that I do. Of the many things that I do, as I was mentioning earlier, I'm a podcaster. I am the host of the Between Three Worlds podcast. And the whole goal of that is to connect the world and make it smaller by sharing the voices of myself and various other people, experts in their fields, whether it be authors, TED Talk speakers, writers, actors, activists, and sharing their voices. And these are usually people that I realize that I know personally or have discovered online and realize they have a very authentic and open voice. I don't like people that are overly direct in the sense that they think they know all the answers and they've discovered life. And so that's one of the things I do. writing was, I did my blog for a while before I went into podcasting, and I did write a book, but I need to make it published, so that's on hold for now. But on top of that, I do speaking, which is why I'm also at LangFest. I like to share the message that I have because I know it's something that you don't hear every day. I won't say it's completely new because there isn't really anything new under the sun, but it's something that we don't get to hear very often in the 21st century, especially now where everyone is very separated and jaded and very politically divided. And so I like to bring that breath of fresh air and remind us that we're all human. And the last thing, I used to be a classical guitarist up until I graduated a few months ago from Germany. So I did guitar for most of my life because my dad was a guitarist, and stereotypically being Asian, he forced me to learn an instrument, and did that for a while. But also, even though I didn't like it as much as I would like to have loved it, it helped me learn more about languages and brought me to Germany, where I studied for 2.5 years, and brought me back here to States. And so, yeah, these are all a bit of who I am. So I call this loving out loud, and loving out loud, there are, you hear the phrase and you think it's kind of corny, but what it means is just to do things that are just radical. And what I mean by radical is things that are fresh, things that normal people don't do. Like most people, they just go to work. They don't need to talk to people on the bus, public transport. You don't do that unless you're either very lonely or crazy, right? But we got to break that stereotype that not only crazy people talk to strangers. And so there's 4 steps, which I'll be talking about on the Wikitongues talk as well, to talking with people, to loving out loud. It's number 1 is to expand your comfort zone, whatever that means for you, because when you expand, it means that you're making what was foreign to you at one point become part of you now, right? It's not get out of your comfort zone, it's expand your comfort zone, because suddenly you start to like Japanese food or Ethiopian food, eat with your hands, something like that. And so that's 1. 2 is make time for people that you've never met before, or the stranger on the street, or the person that you've been taking the same bus with to work for the past 2 years. Make time means also figuring out that you have friends that are a bit foreign and different, and asking them, like, okay, so you're from Syria, like, what's Syrian food like? Where's your family? How are they doing? What are some things that Syrians do? Or if you have someone that's from Thailand, I know that there's a lot of stories about Thailand and stereotypes, but how do you feel about being from Thailand? Something like that. And the other thing, that goes into the 3rd thing, which is actually asking questions. So those 2 points kind of go together. When you make time, you got to ask questions, because if you do all the talking, then you're probably assuming things, and they may or may not be true. And so the last thing I would say is to be contagious, because it's one thing to just be that special person that lights up a room, that can talk to anyone. But it's better, so much better, when you can share that with other people and make them realize that it's not something that is very Fiel specific or Sabrina specific. It's for everyone, that anyone can do this. They don't have to embody all of the characteristics, but at least a little bit of something. So Wikitongues is a wonderful organization. We have hundreds and hundreds of volunteers across the world. And what we are is we believe that humanity is sacred, that every language, every culture is sacred. And what we mean by that is that they are special and they have no place in just dying off into existence. And unfortunately, because of globalization and a lot of other factors, within the next 80 to 100 years, which means 2100 or 2120, half of the 7,000 languages on Earth will be gone. So there will be about 3,000 left, which means that's a rate of about 1 language every 2 weeks, which is about how much time it takes for you to even grow an inch of muscle. So, so that's very quick. And so we have volunteers around the world because we believe in grassroots movements where the people themselves are involved, that it's not outsiders coming in and saying, hey, I'm an anthropologist and I want to document your language. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but because if the people are involved, then they spread it throughout their community. And also because people that are linguists, because they're academics, their work, unfortunately, which is amazing, it gets stuck in the academic setting. So it doesn't really go into the general public. But Wikitongues allows the world to see it through putting it on YouTube. So anyone can search up what Schwäbisch sounds like on YouTube, which is a language from Germany, or Inuktitut. I don't know if we have a video of that yet, and there's languages that have been undocumented that have been submitted to Wikitongues within the past few months. A few from Indonesia that linguists just have never gone to. And it's not because they're not interested. Funding is difficult, but if you have people on the ground that already know people, gets the job done quickly. And so we have so many people across the world and community leaders that are in charge. And all you need to do is just shoot a video of anyone talking in their language using your phone, iPad, computer, whatever. Send it to us, Google form. And yeah, you can find us at wikitongues.org. Polyglot Indonesia is another organization that I'm a part of, and I am their director of international outreach. What that basically means is that I just help connect Polyglot Indonesia to the rest of the outside world, polyglots around the world, or organizations like Wikitongues. So I helped connect them, and now they're partners. And so Polyglot Indonesia is an organization across, currently, it might have changed, but 10 provinces in Indonesia. So there are 10 chapters in 10 provinces. And what they do is they have weekly language meetups, or bi-monthly, bi-weekly, whatever the case is, all run by volunteers. People that said, hey, I think it's really cool for me to speak Spanish, but I realize there's no one else around me that speaks Spanish. Let me make something online. And so they contact us and say, hey, we want to open up a chapter, and then we do a whole trial. And so it's a really great opportunity for people in Indonesia, which is nowhere near Europe or the other languages that are very popular to learn, to get together, to meet on a weekly basis and get to know each other, present, practice, because for most of you that know, if you've met Asians, they tend to be very afraid of making mistakes. It's just part of the whole Confucian culture thing. And so this allows a lot of these Indonesians to break out of their bubble and realize that making mistakes is okay, that you have to in order to grow. And that's one of the work we do, but we also work with Wikitongues in promoting the different languages we have in Indonesia, because we have about 700 plus. We got 300 different ethnic groups and anywhere from 13,000 to 17,000 islands, depending on who you're asking. So there's so much there, not to mention it spans the continental United States. Yeah. So I speak English, and these are in chronological as well as level order. So English, Indonesian, French, Spanish, and German. And yeah, I'd love to learn more. I wish I had more people around me or whatever, but yeah, life just throws things at me. So maybe one day I'll learn Farsi. That's been on my list for a while. But for now, those are the 5 that I have, and yeah, who knows? How did I hear about LangFest? Because when it exploded, everyone was there. Everyone was talking about it, and I wasn't, because I was in Europe. And yeah, I mean, I remember when it was first called NAPS, and the people were talking about, yeah, there's this new group of people running this conference in Montreal, and then you started calling